My name is Susan Weber. I am one of the organizers of Save Colonie, a partnership for planning, and I have other people here who are part of Save, and I'd like to welcome everybody here. Thank you so much for coming. Other members of Save who are in the room today are Kathy Love, Mary Beth Buckner, Carolyn Martell, I'm having a senior moment, Suzanne
Maloney,
and Lisa Barron, and Jane Palmer, Hooklemba. Okay, I'm done tonight. That's it. I can't do it. All right. So I want to tell you, we started this organization about in September last year when we discovered, surprise, surprise, that there had been a giant clear cut. I know that's not a technical term, Mr. Lasavita, of a lot over by Colonie Center, and we just were gobsmacked and disgusted. And then we had a nice meeting with the town. We called the town's attention to the fact that there is a prohibition against tree cutting for development other than the footprint of the building and the parking lot in 10 feet. And when the town attorney sent word out to his minions in the departments that this should be enforced, we thought our problems were over. But then, lo and behold, Maxwell Road. So that's why we've organized. The town of Colonie is a really wonderful place to live. And it's also a community that is undergoing an extraordinary amount of development pressure. The town is now reconsidering its 2005 comprehensive zoning and land use plan. And as the town begins this arduous business, it has the opportunity to look into the near and distant future and create a plan that results in the community we residents want and need. The Colonie Comprehensive Plan Review Committee is starting with the prior administration's plan to point out what has been accomplished, to examine what has worked and what has not, and this is important. However, we must take this valuable opportunity to move the community forward and find better ways to respond to the challenges that the community has identified and would like to see addressed. As the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee commences this process, we wish to embrace this course. We wish to be included in the review and offer input from a community heavily interested in and invested in the outcome. We hope the committee first helps determine a shared community vision for the future of Colonie. The town leadership has very real and tangible milestones to be proud of. Among them are the solving of a major inherited budget problem, effective and well-regarded police and rescue services, a highly rated neighborhood elementary, many highly rated elementary and secondary schools, a M4 stormwater management plan that is one of the best in New York, and reasonable property taxes. Let me tell you a little bit about the impetus. I actually did that when I spoke, so I'm going to say what we are doing, the shock of what we've seen recently in the town of Colonie, coupled with increased traffic and pressure on infrastructure that is already stressed, have motivated community members to seek inclusion in the process. Not merely to have input for input's sake, but rather to be informed and assured that our community will be strengthened by the development choices that are made, that our valuable natural resources and cultural resources will be protected, and that significant open spaces, if there are any left, will remain untouched. Unless Colonie's unique character is retained, the town will have failed. Apparently, our message has struck a chord. As of today, more than 73 residents have joined our emailing list, and over 100 are members of our Facebook page. What we believe we can do. We have organized so that we can find human and other resources, useful resources already in and around our community, organize them, and provide them to the town as a useful way, in as useful a way as possible. We wish to be an asset and support and encourage best planning practices and smart growth. We are not opposed to development. We are in favor of smart, best practices, foster development. Okay, thank you all for coming.
We started to notice this.
You might recognize that. That would be right over there.
One of the members on Margaret Drive said at one of the town planning board meetings that when she looked out her back window and she saw what actually had happened, she cried for 3 days. And that really stayed in my heart that night. I remember trying to go to sleep and thinking, oh my God, that poor woman. So I didn't at that point even know about the tree ordinance, that trees over a certain size shouldn't be cut. But when I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness, look at those beautiful trees. Plus, driving down Maxwell Road, you could feel the benefits of trees. Normally, in the past, it would get 10 degrees cooler, and it was just a wonderful feeling in the air. You could breathe, and then this was very upsetting. And the wetland area, even though it might not be labeled wetlands, a lot of wetlands, sort of like driving through Death Valley. When you get out of Death Valley, the next 60 miles is the exact same land as Death Valley was. Just because something isn't specifically a protected wetland area, possibly we should look at preserving it if it's in the same vicinity.
I don't know if you saw, there was another resident, just someone else who was upset, who wrote a letter to that Pine Union about the wildlife.
And I think we've all experienced this. It's just, it's getting horrendous, I think.
It was listed in the 2005 Town's Comprehensive Plan as one of the 3 problems that residents were concerned about, was traffic, and it's only got worse.
Flooding. Biology 101, I guess, you learn about the benefits of trees, and one of the benefits is it can help to prevent flooding.
I know for my house, we have a big new neighborhood that went in, and so now when we get just regular rains, we're an island. The storm water drains can't take it, and I'm just waiting for it to come to my house. Oh, and that last picture was a resident whose basement flooded, and she lost cameras.
We understand that money is important, but if it's going to be at the risk of losing some of the environmental beauty of Colonie, it's not worth it.
And that's really the key, is a balance. People want to live here because of the quality of life, but if we ruin the quality of life, people won't want to live here, and it will have destroyed our property values.
So we want to make sure that the best practices in urban planning is looked at. And I attended a DEC meeting with one of the other people that I just recently met, and I was amazed at the amount of stuff out there that is available, that experts have already researched and spent a lot of money kind of finding out. And I'm hoping that in the comprehensive planning that we're looking at some of that.
Because unbeknownst to me, until I joined this group, there are parts of the town that have inadequate water pressure. So it affects their daily lives as well as their ability to sell their houses. And it's been a problem for a long time that hasn't been addressed. And it just doesn't seem fair. They pay the same tax as I do, and I pay $5.
You don't want this to happen. Some of the things you have to, by law, it's federal or state law, that the property has to be like a wetland or a woodland, has to be so many acres. But it's my understanding that if it doesn't fit under that criteria, the town still has jurisdiction over that. For smaller areas, small areas that maybe make sense to save.
And there are a lot of other resources out there, and I hope the town is looking into those, as a taxpayer, to take advantage of both the expertise as well as the grants that are available and other funding sources to improve our infrastructure and protect our.
To me, this is very important. If you go to Crossings Park now, you can hardly get in there. That says to me people need more open space. People are craving the ability to have some trees and greenery around them.
And study after study has shown, both for our physical as well as our mental health, we need to get outside in nature. And we're also busy. If it's not close, it's not going to happen. So we need to have it accessible and nearby.
For example, the town board, planning board meetings, the town board meetings, I was very negligent in not being involved, but I think that it's important, and I'm going to be very involved from here on in. If you're on the email list too, we will keep you informed about what's coming up in agendas and where you might want to be to get your voices heard.
If you have any questions, just there, or the Facebook page.
Profited from the sale of those trees. Where did the money go? So put like some decent hardware to do. Has the organization looked into it? Has anyone fined? It's spoken of the size limit on trees, 9 inches, whatever, mature trees. I mean, did the town seek to fine anyone, or has anyone attempted to push the issue, pursue it? I mean, unless there's a threat or an effort and enforcement, talking is going to be a waste of time. In one ear and out the other. I'm not saying you always have to sue, but the threat of it is very important. taking legal action if that's what's necessary.
May I respond to that? I believe that we had the same questions as you have. We went to the town board with our questions. Mr. Majuli is the town attorney. He assured us that every possible avenue is being taken to enforce whatever laws there are and impose whatever fines are available against the developer, who at that time was Mr. Finning. And I'm assuming, although I do not know, that Mr. Finning has taken the benefit of those trees and taken them away and sold them.
Well,
Okay, so
follow up with, trust but verify.
you may do that. Mr. Majuli's with us tonight.
Okay?
Okay, could we continue and see what other people have to, you have another
One more
question?
thing and then
Okay,
let
go.
And that is, whatever you're doing, one thing I didn't see up there, but whatever plan, whatever effort you want to get involved with, I think that compliance measures, it relates back to it. Compliance measures are critical in any system, particularly with government. And, you cannot avoid, you can't just trust other people to be doing it. You have to have mechanisms to ensure compliance.
That's what we have the town government for. That's their job.
As long as they report, and you get
Well-
reports.
Well, we have no authority to do anything like that. It's up to the town to enforce. And we're hoping that,
Like I can address this gentleman's question.
excellent, thank you, I appreciate that very much.
I have to tell you, I'm Mike Majuli, I'm the town attorney.
I know.
And what happened on Maxwell Road upset us as much as it upset you. Mr. Finney did not have a grading permit at the time that he cut those trees down. He had applied for a grading permit back in June of 2015, and the town denied it because he did not have all his wetland approvals in place, the SWIP filed yet. And we believe what he did, and we have to prove this, because violations have been filed, both for the wetland encroachments and for cutting down the trees. We believe that he was trying to skirt the grading permit issue by leaving those stumps and being able to claim, I didn't grade because the stumps are still there, I cut down the tree. And so violations have been filed, and we have been in contact with Mr. Finney and his representative. Most recently, last Tuesday, at the last planning board meeting, we had sent them emails that they had to start cleaning up the brush and the mess that they left there, because they don't need a grading permit for that. And, we drive by, we monitor it closely, and they have been cleaning up the brush. It's all been mulched down. The only thing that is preventing us from issuing a grading permit now is the final approval of the landscaping plan imposed by the planning board. And that has taken a little time because we've been doing it in conjunction with the people on Martin Drive, Margaret Drive, because we want them to be satisfied as well. We certainly do not condone in any way, shape, or form what Mr. Finney did on Maxwell Road.
Thank you, Mike. Would anyone, what are, I'm sure you people are here from every corner of the town of Colonie, and I'm just wondering what issues that you may have that you would like to see addressed. Could you give us your name and your community? Where are you from?
I live in Latham.
Okay, great.
I'd just like to know, how long have those trees been cut down? How many years ago?
They were cut down this year. They were cut down just a few months ago. I think it was January.
Because we came back to Florida and they were down.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul?
I'm really gratified that this town is updating the comprehensive plan. I know it's not easy. I was on the town board for many years. The town really needs the revenue that it gets every year from real property tax growth, which has kept our taxes as low as possible. There's something that a guy by the name of Phil Pearson, who is our Director of Engineering and Planning Services, told me back in the 2000s that all the easy land has already been developed. What you have left is you have residential land, abutting commercial land, you have land that has environmental challenges, and lack of infrastructure, water and sewer. All the sewers were built with sewer money from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and that's all gone now. Developers have to put up their own money for sewers. And then you have land that is developable, but it goes out onto two-lane roads. And I would like to see us as a group urge the town to consider more performance zoning, where things that are approved fit more into the community. And my district is the area of these cut trees and right here, okay? And I realize that this project's been going on a long time, but those trees were cut in the fall and the winter, but yet the town gave final approval on April 4th, and they gave the developer 300% of the density of the underlying
Would that be the zoning
well,
area?
you know, normal residential zoning, you get about 2.5 houses per acre, 16,000 square foot lots. Well, they approved 55 units there on the, and called it senior housing. But it wasn't senior housing like anyone envisioned it when the zoning was put together, because senior housing was supposed to be for low-cost senior housing, high-rise, cut down the footprint, reduce the building cost, so that seniors selling their homes could have $1,500 and $1,600 rents. They approved 55 luxury townhomes that are going to cost between $375,000 and $450,000 a year, and they're duplex. And excuse me, I'm losing my voice, but
Doesn't
there's
sound
some
like senior
mechanism that
housing to
says,
me.
it's some mechanism that says, and I don't know if it goes with the deed or a homeowners association, someone 55 has to live in the building. Well, you know, development is good, revenue is good, increasing density by 300% in a troubled area is not good. At the same time this is happening, people are opposing, and the town did turn it down, 80 units on the Fogeltville farm on Shaker Road for a residential area that will accept 38 houses. And somehow there's this perception in the development community that the town will give incentives for development with greater density. And there are times when that is certainly appropriate. And you know, PDDs were designed so that you could have flexibility with development and you could have mixed use. But to use them now, to put 5 pounds in a 10 pounds in a 5-pound sack, just doesn't seem right.
I think you're getting down into the weeds here
Okay.
a little too far. Could you explain what PDDs are and how that's been used
Plan development
improperly, you
district,
think?
Once again, somebody comes in and says, and Mike would like to explain it or tell me if I'm wrong. Someone's got 20 acres and they come in and they say, well, I'd like to have, I've got some special features of this land. There's going to be a retention basin and there's some mature trees we want to keep. So we'd like to change the setbacks. We'd like to change the width of the streets. We'd like to play around with the density, but overall the project will be better. Well, one of the rules is you're not supposed to go beyond the underlying density when you approve that. So, I mean, it's something I'd like to see the town stick to. The other thing that I have seen happen, which is different than when I was in town government, that I sort of am not fond of. And I intend to put all this into a letter and put it on the town website, and they get it up there, because that's going to be the public repository. But the town just, I'm not sure if it was in 2014, instituted special use permits. And special use permits are essentially a trump card to zoning. And with a special use permit, it does not require a vote of an elected town official to approve something which could be drastically different than the underlying zone. Case in point, Times Union proposal right across the street here. 250,000 square foot of retail, 1,650 parking spaces, access onto a 2-lane town road. Not allowed by the existing zone because it didn't allow retail in a commercial zone. They created a mechanism by which that could go to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and a majority vote of the Zoning Board of Appeals could approve it. I personally believe that anything that reflects rezoning should go back to the town board, where elected officials who are beholden to everyone in this room have to make the tough decisions. And, you know, the Zoning Board of Appeals was really made for side yard setbacks, and so you could put your pool in, or you had a small parcel which was a little bit below the amount of square footage. It was never made for major real estate decisions. Zoning Board of Appeals doesn't really have a staff associated with it that, like the planning board does. And there's a bifurcated process where it bounces from the planning board to the zoning board, et cetera. And I realize I'm getting down in the weeds. But the only thing I'm asking, and the thing I would like to see this group advocate, and I will advocate, and I know there are others who will too, is that during this period where the town is studying its land use, its transportation, its infrastructure, its zoning, don't make matters worse. Stop the incentives, use underlying zoning, be conservative to what you approve, and err on the side of protecting